All right, this is for Jamie Robertson's speech on PTSD. Give us your name and how you know Jamie.
My name is Sarah and I work with Jamie.
My name is Sammy and I'm Jamie's neighbor.
My name is Gray and I work with Jamie.
Alright, so I will be talking to y'all about today on PTSD, which was actually formerly known as shell shock or battle fatigue syndrome. And the statistics on this is 67% of people exposed to actual mass violence are more likely to get PTSD versus the same amount of people being exposed to like a natural disaster. So it's a very serious thing. Also, 7.7 million Americans 18 or older have PTSD in the world today. It also can occur with depression, substance abuse, or anxiety. And the actual definition of PTSD is a disorder developed with someone going through a shocking experience or a traumatic event that happened to them. And 7 out of 8 of 100 people can actually be diagnosed with PTSD each year. Although men are more common to develop PTSD due to soldiers going to war and everything, women are more common to develop PTSD. Children and young adults can also experience PTSD, but this is mostly due to sexual abuse from someone close to them, unfortunately. And the symptoms that can come along with PTSD with the older adults, most of them, there's a bunch of different ones that can be kind of diagnosed as re-experiencing symptoms, avoidance symptoms, and cognitive symptoms where it's in their mind. So going back to that, the re-experiencing symptoms is when a person whose words or thoughts will make them trigger something in their mind as far as like a flashback or a dream that will make them, like say a soldier was in war and he has a bad dream and he just sees what has been done, it will make him have that symptom, and that's what is called a reoccurring symptom. As far as an avoidance symptom, that would be a certain person, whether it would be an older male that has been in war or a child or a young adult that has experienced sexual abuse. They will avoid certain places that trigger their mind to reoccur this situation that makes it so hard for them. And also they can, with the avoidance symptom, they can feel numb emotionally, or they can also lose interest in kind of, their activities that they would do as far as anything they would want to do on a regular basis. They would just not want to do that, and that's where depression comes into play. Now, when you talk with children as far as dealing with this, they will not experience the same symptoms. They will most likely experience with like teenagers, they will have bad behavior such as drug abuse or hanging out with bad people, just acting out in general, whether it's emotionally or physically, just self-harming. Anything like that. If they were sexually abused, that is also PTSD with them acting out in their own certain way. So there's a big difference in, adults versus children or young adults, teenagers, the way that they act out. So as far as going back to adults, the way their symptoms that they have, another one can be not only avoiding everyday situations, they can be, for a soldier, if he's been in a combat unit that was been through a lot of stuff, he can be easily agitated, very scared, emotionally just detached from the whole world. You don't know what's going on, and they're always having trouble sleeping as well. And also, they can remember key events that play over and over in their head that make them replay this event, that also make them feel guilt or blame for something that had happened. That was not their fault, that they were just told to do, or there was something that had happened that was out of their range to control at all. And also, if this person, whether it be a soldier or a child, if they continue to act this out, if they can't get used to what's going on in their life and move past this, that can be diagnosed as a chronic PTSD disorder. So also going back to the children, when they're having the difference between children PTSD and adult PTSD, the adult PTSD that I went through with them, going through a bunch of different things as far as like flashbacks and bad dreams, versus children, if they're sexually abused, they don't know how to deal with this. So they can go through many different things as far as teenagers when, like I said before, when they would act out as in, bad behavior or, taking drugs. When you come with a little child that doesn't know how to deal with something like this, they will act it out as far as wetting their bed or being very clingy with their parent, or they will go as far as acting it out in their playtime because their little minds cannot understand what's going on. So it's a really big deal. A lot of people ask why some people have PTSD and some people don't. All of us go through a lot of stuff every day. Everyone goes through bad stuff. We don't understand why. The reason that some people have PTSD and some people don't, the biggest key in this is how you deal with what you went through, whether you got help or you didn't, whether you're drinking or you're doing drugs or you not, whether you go to a support club or you don't. There's a big difference. That's the big reason why a lot of people deal with PTSD and other people don't. Yes, I will say this at the same time, that all of us are not built the same way. We're all not strong. Some of us can go and get help and still have trouble and still need alcohol or still need drugs. But some of us don't need that. We can go and get help and be surrounded by a positive group of people and be like, yeah, you got this. And, just be okay. So that's why some people have it and some people don't. So the treating in this, you can go either way on this. Treating PTSD, when you go with medication, the biggest thing with medication is if the reason why they would treat that is if you had an anxiety or a mood disorder developed by this traumatic disorder or traumatic event, whatever you went through. That's the only reason why they would treat that with medication. Otherwise, they would try exposing a person. What they call exposing is exposing a person to what they fear, and sometimes that can show them that there's nothing to be afraid of. Like for me, I am definitely afraid of tornadoes, and I have been exposed so many a times, and I'm over it now, on going outside when a storm is terrible, and it actually got me over my fear of storms. So exposing is a really big thing that can help some people with PTSD to help them out. Obviously, the guys that deal with war, it's a different way of treating them. The next one is recognition. It's basically a mental reconstruction, and you're helping them make sense of the feelings that they have by also helping them see it in a realistic way. Because a lot of these guys see what they did over there as something horrible, but at the same time, it was what they needed to do. And I'm not a therapist, I don't know what needs to be done, but at the same time, these therapists know what they're doing, and these guys need to know that this is something that they were meant to do, and it was what needed to be done for us to be, where we are right now. And at the same time, it's really hard to let them know that it's okay, and that's where the therapy comes in and the support group comes in, to letting them know that it's okay. You were just there doing what you were doing. You're a young man. You didn't know what you were doing, but you were there doing what you were supposed to be told. So, and also, what I'm going to say in my closing, PTSD is a real disorder. No one should ever be made fun of or ever be left out on this disorder because it is a real disease and it's a real problem nowadays. A lot of guys, especially our military guys, do not know what they have done or what they go through. They cannot comprehend what their mind has been through over there. So if you know anyone, and not just our military guys, but anyone, any children or anybody that has been through a traumatic experience, talk to them. Notice these different symptoms and these different things that are going on with them. You know, the taking back, the anger, just the hardness in it. Just notice that. And if you see that, reach out to them. Let them know that there is help and this is a real disease, because a lot of people don't know that this is a real disease, that it is a problem, and they feel scared or, you know, that they're making this all up in their mind and that they're crazy when they're not. And it's a really big problem. So I just want to tell you to look out for those symptoms and to never let them feel like that they are to blame for whatever they have been through, no matter what it is. So now I'm going to show a video, but before I do, I'm going to speak on my my bibliography, where I got my information from. Anxiety and Depression Association of America, which is adaa.org. Also, National Institute of Mental Health, nimh.nih.gov. And my very last one is webmd.com PTSD. So now I'm going to show you a video of some people that deal with PTSD on a regular basis.
It's like living with a leash on a little bit. You can do some stuff, but every now and then you remember that it's there.
I was living in Japan during the earthquake in 2011.
A few weeks and months of political unrest while I was living overseas. We lived with bags by the door ready to go in case we needed to get out.
I found out in 2008 I had PTSD, complex PTSD, but I think the diagnosis should have probably been made when I was 14 years old.
I was raped, and as a result, I live with PTSD.
The civil war in Lebanon broke out in 1975. I was only 17 years old. I lived through that for about 12 years.
As it kind of sunk in, I started to feel really guilty because I had always associated PTSD with people who had been to war, and I just didn't think I deserved it. The PTSD triggers, they ambush you. You don't know when it's gonna come. It's sort of the unknown. Every day you wake up and you don't know if you're going to have a trigger today.
I was at a movie, and there's a part where this woman got trapped in a car. I had a serious panic attack.
There was a song that was talking about a shooting and armed robbery, and just hearing that song, that was all it took.
Something happened when I was 13, and when my trigger happens, in that moment, I am 13.
Usually the sounds of jet planes overhead would trigger off the memory for me of those days. It would make me feel weak in the legs, and my memory will go back to that time trying to look after my children when they were little and protect them. All I had to do is hear a jet plane, and that's where my mind will go.
At times, it has literally felt like I'm dying. You feel like you're never gonna get past this. One of the things that's helped me a lot was group therapy. This happens to more people than you think.
Start to have a conversation with this thing that you have.
I did counseling for 2 years in college, and it felt like that got my life into a pretty manageable place.
I am trying to build up the courage to attend a support group.
I would have these days where you're just like, there's nothing I can do to do anything that you're supposed to do. In group therapy, someone called it a lost day. It's such a simple thing, but putting the words lost day to those days helped me overcome.
And I think accepting that is really important. And just being like, it's okay to like freak out and just be like, oh, this is scary, like, because it's scary.
And don't ever tell them to get over it because it's extremely painful.
It takes practice and it takes patience and it takes faith. You have to know that the fact that you've been through something so traumatic and you're here, you are much stronger than you think you are.
Don't feel guilty when you have a good day.
Give yourself time to heal.
And you can't judge yourself for it.
It'll never be the same, but it can get better, and it's worth whatever it's gonna take. You can have a better life.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to find the right thing that works for you.
And getting help is not a sign of weakness. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage, and you deserve the happiness that comes with getting better.
My name is Kate.
My name is Tammy.
My name is Kirk, and I live with PTSD.
So I just wanted to bring this situation to light because a lot of people don't know how bad this can be for a lot of people, and I hope this worked out well for you guys. So thank you for being here. All right.